I've played a lot of fighting games in my life, but there is one series that is well known to this day, and I'm talking about Street Fighter. This was my first fighting game before I've played Mortal Kombat, and yes, I'm going to review a series of Street Fighter games for the first time. The original Street Fighter came out in the arcades of 1987, and that's basically it. Then 4 years later, the actual sequel called The World Warrior, which is the first Street Fighter game I've played back in 1993 on Super Nintendo, not in the arcades, so that's mainly my history on it. You have 8 characters you can play as and travel around the world kicking the shit out of various martial artists you encounter. When I first played this game, my first character I picked was Chun-Li. Yeah, she was my favorite even to this day. Each fighter has a unique fighting style minus Ken Masters, who has the same style as Ryu. Well, they're rivals, what do you expect? As a kid, I was impressed with the characters' fighting style and powers they possess like Hadouken, Sonic Boom, Yoga Fire, Electrocuting, 100 Hand Slap, Lightning Kick, and the list goes on. You also got bonuses where you can destroy cars, bricks, and barrels after you defeat a few fighters. Gotta love the game's music, by the way. Once you defeated the fighters, you face 4 bosses, Balrog, Vega, Sagat, and Bison. I managed to defeat the first 3 bosses, but ended up getting my ass handed to Bison when I was a kid. In the Japanese version, Bison was Vega, Vega was Balrog, and Balrog was Bison. Overall, Street Fighter II is a great game. Next came Street Fighter II Turbo. It's basically the same, but with improvements, and you get to play as the 4 bosses. Super Street Fighter II The New Challengers is in fact the best in the series. You got a few new moves, new characters, and different modes. Also in Fei Long's stage, when you win, yeah, they actually put Anguirus' roar in the game. That's pretty awesome. By 1995, there is the Alpha series, known in Japan as Zero. No, it's not a sequel, rather a prequel that was after the original Street Fighter. I remember playing it in the arcades when I was 11. It features alpha counter and chain combos, including super combos that has been expanded from Super Street Fighter 2. There are characters from the original like Birdie and Add-on, now playable, also Guy and Sodom from Final Fighter in it, plus 2 new fighters like Rose and Charlie. Looking at the graphics may remind you of Darkstalkers and X-Men Children of the Atom, also done by Capcom. Speaking of X-Men, Capcom did X-Men games like I've stated, the arcade game and Mutant Apocalypse for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. In 1996, Alpha had a sequel called Alpha 2. The only version I played was the one on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, and I have to agree with SNESman16, who no longer does SNES game reviews anymore, and says that this was a very good port. And I really don't care what other reviewers say that it's a crappy port. I don't freaking care! Like I said in my Godzilla Leftovers review, I was interested in Godzilla for the PS4, and I had a ton of fun with it. Same with the Super Nintendo version of this game. I myself was interested in buying it, and I'm so glad I did. The graphics look impressive for the time. Well, yeah, the Super Nintendo was capable of doing things like that. Before the 16-bit era came to an end, which is pretty sad because I love the Super NES. It's a great console, damn it! I've heard that unlike the PlayStation and Saturn versions, this one features a secret character for you to unlock, and I think it's classic Chun-Li. As I mentioned Darkstalkers and Final Fight, there are several characters in the background as cameos. Well yeah, thanks to Capcom who are behind this. Street Fighter Alpha 2 Gold, needless to say, is an edition of Alpha 2 nonetheless. Street Fighter Alpha 3, never played in the arcades, but from what I've heard, it's one of the best in the Alpha series. If you own the PS1 version, it had more characters. Going back to 1996 again came a spin-off called Street Fighter X, the first to be in 3D, and I've never played that series. Of course you have crossovers like the Marvel vs. Capcom series. It's been forever since I've played them, and they are really fun to play, minus X-Men vs. Street Fighter, which is the first crossover game never in my lifetime have I touched it, especially Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, Tekken Street Fighter, and Street Fighter Tekken. But I have played Capcom vs. SNK too. 1997, there's Street Fighter 3. I never had an experience with the third installment. They do exist more Street Fighter games like the one based on the live-action movie that feels like... You get the picture. Then there's Super Puzzle Fighter 2, featuring characters from Street Fighter and Darkstalkers in chibi form. It's a very cute, fun game. Same with Super Gem Fighter, haven't played that game when I was in my early teens. 2008, Street Fighter 4, came out 8 years after Street Fighter 3. It is the first to be co-developed by DIMS and is one of the best Street Fighter games of 2008. It brings back everything you know and love from Street Fighter 2, including new features and previous ones from, again, Super Street Fighter 2. Last but not least, Street Fighter 5. Minding you, I do not own this game, meaning I can't review it. Sorry! Yes, there is Ultra Street Fighter 2, and it looks like a modernized version of... I rest my case! Oh, and there's the Street Fighter Anniversary Collection and Alpha Anthology for the home consoles. And if you watched my review on a series of Mortal Kombat games, they can be emulated poorly. Well, folks, this ends my review on the Street Fighter series. I've wanted to do a review on this for so long, and it's such a popular franchise. And I know what you're thinking. Will you ever review the American Street Fighter animated series? Yes, I might when I have time, and I will also review the 1994 anime movie. So until next time, in the words of Darkscream217, this is Lord Byakko, signing out.